Couple realizes the man who had been living with them for 3 years isn't their son. Nothing is worse than realizing your child is missing. Families and relatives try their hardest to stay optimistic and hope that soon they will receive some good news. While some families are lucky enough to reunite with their missing child sooner or later, others are less fortunate. In 1994, a teenage boy from Texas went missing. His parents and relatives were heartbroken. The search for the missing teenager continued for 3 long years with no results, and his parents were starting to lose hope of ever seeing him again. Then, 3 years later, they received a phone call from the police. The authorities had found their son, and soon he was brought back home to his family. The young man felt extremely lucky to be reunited with his parents and relatives after not seeing them for years. But just when things started to feel normal again, the boy's parents discovered something utterly disturbing about their son that made them regret bringing him home. Nicholas Barkley was living with his family in San Antonio, Texas. Like many other boys his age, he frequently fought with his parents. Often, after an argument, he would walk out of the door and meet with his friends to play basketball. Basketball was his escape. It helped Nicholas to cool off and forget about his problems at home. The teen was back to his normal self after a couple of hours playing outside. After the game was over, Nicholas and his friends would return home to their families. But what happened one night shocked his family to the core. One day, for the first time, Nicholas got himself in trouble with the law. He had to attend a court date scheduled in the next few days. Sadly, Nicholas never made it to his court hearing. The night before the court date, Nicholas went out with his friends to play basketball. After the game was over, all of the boys returned home, except for Nicholas. His family was worried as he had never done that before. Little did they know how much worse it would soon get. At first, Nicholas's parents thought he ran away to avoid the court hearing. But when he didn't come home the next day, the Barkley family became increasingly worried. They contacted the police, and soon the search for the missing boy had begun. The police notified everyone in the neighborhood about the missing teen. Flyers with Nicholas's photo were distributed around the whole city. Many volunteers also joined the police in the search for the boy. Despite months of searching, no one, not even the police, was able to offer any information about the boy's whereabouts. There were no traces of the missing boy, and just when Barkleys started to give up on never seeing Nicholas again, they received an unexpected call. In 1997, 3 years after Nicholas went missing, the grieving family received a call from the police. For the first time in 3 years, the Barkley family was about to receive some good news. The police said they had found Nicholas. Their son was safe and sound. The authorities revealed that the young man was spotted in a small town in Spain. The Barkley family couldn't believe their ears after hearing the news. How did their son end up on another continent? Shortly after the big news, Nicholas was put on a plane and sent back to the United States. The Barkleys were thrilled to see their beloved son again. After 3 long years, the boy was finally found. Or so they thought. Everyone was curious about what actually happened to him and wanted Nicholas to share his story. But what the young man told the police was rather strange. The police and his family desperately wanted Nicholas to explain what happened to him 3 years ago and where he had been all these years. And what the young man revealed shocked everyone to the core. Nicholas explained that he was kidnapped and taken to Spain by plane. After 3 long years, he managed to escape his kidnappers, and that was when the local police found him. But there was something that Nicholas had been hiding all along. A traumatic incident like this one could change a person forever. Everyone was very understanding and supportive of Nicholas. He was very happy to be back home with his family. However, his mother couldn't help but notice one odd thing about her son. His eye color and hair were now completely different. When asked what happened, the young man said that the kidnappers dyed his hair and medically changed his eye color to hide his true identity. His parents were sure that he was telling the truth. However, one private investigator called Charlie Parker didn't believe a word he said. Charlie said it would be nearly impossible for the kidnappers to change his eye color. If what the young man told them was true, the horrifying experience should have left him withdrawn. Nicholas, on the other hand, appeared to be calm and relaxed while telling his story. After a closer look at Nicholas's photos before and after the kidnapping, Charlie and the other investigators found another alarming difference in his appearance. In addition to the difference in his hair and eyes, the young man's ears also appeared to be of another shape. They didn't match the old photos of Nicholas, and ears, like fingerprints, are unique to each and every person. Charlie found the whole thing very suspicious, but if the man they found wasn't Nicholas, then who was he? And why was he pretending to be someone else? As it turns out, Charlie Parker was right. The man who had been pretending to be the missing boy from Texas was a 23-year-old Frenchman named Frédéric Pierre Bourdin. Not only did Bourdin lie about his identity, but he had also done some horrifying acts in the past. Frédéric was a wanted criminal who had been impersonating missing children his whole life. Bourdin had taken on hundreds of identities, with most of them being children, including the 16-year-old Nicholas Barkley. But how did he learn about the missing boy from Texas? Frédéric revealed that one day the Spanish police approached him and said that he looked similar to one missing person from Texas. Bourdin then immediately took on his new role. Shocked but not surprised, Charlie Parker had to break the news to the Barkley family. Upon hearing the news, Nicholas's family broke down in tears. How did they not realize that this grown man wasn't actually their missing son Nicholas sooner? Frédéric, however, had his own theory about what happened to the missing boy. Bourdin was convinced that the Barkley family knew that he wasn't their son from the very beginning. According to Bourdin, Nicholas's family murdered him and had to cover up the crime by eventually finding their son. Charlie Parker thought the whole story was absurd, but eventually decided to investigate his claim. Could it be possible that the Barkley family killed their own son? Charlie Parker investigated the case further but wasn't able to find any conclusive evidence. He even dug up the family's backyard to check for the boy's body. However, he didn't find anything suspicious. Nevertheless, Parker refused to believe that the boy's family was completely innocent in his disappearance.